Okay, so this is the Aerogarden farm. I've had it running for a few weeks now, and you can see it actually says it's been planted for 25 days. Most of that time, the first week or so, there was actually nothing in the unit. I was just testing it out. So I'll just give you a quick look at what's been going on. First of all, if we take a look at the right side, so I've set the growing parameters for this to tomatoes, and I've put various items in there, um, including about 2 tomato seeds. One of them germinated, even though it was a bit old, and you can see it's turning out to be a lovely looking plant there. The other ones, one is the lettuce leaf basil. Again, this was transplanted from one of the smaller units. This is a Swiss chard, I believe it's called. This actually had 2 growing out of it, so I trimmed one off. This purple one is purple basil. All of the purple basils I've planted have come out like that and stayed like that for a couple weeks. I'm not sure what the other small one is. So I've planted a couple additional items here. I think they're all the Swiss chard, but mainly my hope is for the tomatoes. So we'll see how that works out. And then if we look at the left side, we'll go ahead and change the left side here. You will see that we have a small lettuce leaf basil and a relatively huge plant here. Now, when I say this is huge, you'll have to take my word for it, but I've been cutting off, if you see this huge leaf here, I've been cutting off one of these every couple of days. It actually had like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more leaves than, a few days ago than it does now. So, what happens is I keep cutting off the larger ones at the bottom and more keep coming out of the middle. So it seems like it'll be growing forever at this rate. Of course, when you cook it, the leaves shrink down a bit, but I think it's crazy because I took this from the green farm unit, put it in here, and it's really just expanded greatly since I moved it to this tank. So we'll see how that does. Again, I have this little lettuce leaf basil down here, so eventually this big plant is probably going to be used up, and then the basil will get more light. Again, the nutrients in this left unit are tuned for herbs, so eventually I'll move all the herbs to the left side and we'll see how it goes. But basically speaking, this unit is a bit pricey, so I was hoping it would actually be able to grow a bit more, but if you're growing huge things like this, then obviously you can only grow really one per tray, to be honest. But your mileage may vary. So it'll be interesting to see how the tomato plant works out, but if that grows up and grows a lot of tomatoes, I'll be happy to dedicate one tray to that. So another thing is, if you notice the tubes in the back here, I did go ahead and add an air pump. I'm actually only running it at a small percentage of capacity right now, just to avoid too much crazy bubbles, but you can see there's a reasonable amount of bubbling coming from the air stems. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it turns out after a bit more time. So it does have alerts which tell you things like it's running low on water. So I do take a close look at that. The one on the left side actually runs out of water about every 2 days because I think this plant is just evaporating crazy amounts of it. So I filled it up to high maybe 2 days ago. So you'd swear it's leaking or something, the rate at which water goes out. So it would be a good candidate to have a big external tank with like 30 liters of water or something, but I just have been too lazy to set that up so far. And there we go, I just put 2 liters of water in. Now it says medium, so that should be enough to keep it set up for the time being. But again, it does seem to work really well. Like I said, this plant has just been growing like crazy. And that's about all there is to it. So I'll report back when the tomato plant starts getting bigger. But I do know it's going to take a couple months before it can really start doing anything significant. So probably my next follow-up will be in at least a couple weeks, if not a couple months. Any questions, let me know.